Tucson.
The state's Game and Fish Department called them in to kill a mountain lion that's suddenly become dangerous to people. Jeff Oldfather joins us live from the area. Jeff?
We're in Madera Canyon. Directly behind me, we're below the Mount Wrightson area. If you see that rugged peak directly behind me, a lot of hiking trails in that area, and they're searching for the lion there. The reason, because they've had 4 attacks by this lion in just 2 months. The signs put up today on the Madera Canyon trails by Forester Mark South will stay up until June 3rd, or until the suddenly dangerous mountain lion is killed by the professional hunter now in the Santa Ritas. In March, the lion killed a small dog. Only 2 days ago, it attacked again, this time mauling Willie, Dave and Peter Rince's dog, while Dave and his son were just walking down a Madera Canyon trail.
The next thing I heard was this commotion over here, and all I saw was the backside of this animal dragging my dog downhill.
The Game and Fish is being criticized for the decision to kill the lion, but department officials say they don't have any choice. They say no matter where they took this lion, it would inevitably come in contact with people again.
There was no doubt in our mind that this cat has an unusual lack of fear of human beings now after the incidents from 2 days ago, because it went right between the father and his son.
Willie the dog is probably going to be blind in his left eye. He had a hole chewed through his skull. But the scariest thing about that incident, according to Dave, is how the lion seemed to almost challenge him when Dave finally saved his dog.
One rock connected with the backside of the animal, and he dropped my dog. My dog ran off one direction, and the cat slowly turned and looked at me for about 10 seconds, and I thought I was going to be next.
It's to make sure no one else is next that the lion will be killed. Meanwhile, forestry officials say much of the area remains open.
We are not closing Madera Canyon, so people can still come up here and camp and picnic in the Madera Canyon proper. It's just the trails that are...
Good evening and welcome to the Nogales Report. Today we're in Madera Canyon, part of the Mount Wrightson Wilderness area, and my guest is Mark South. Mark is with the Recreation, Land and Mineral Department of the U.S. Forest Service and the Coronado National Forest Service, which is based here in Nogales, Arizona. This evening we're going to learn a little bit about U.S. Forest Service, the wilderness areas, and all that it has to offer all of us. So don't go away. We'll be right back in just a minute. I'm back. My guest is Mark South. Mark is with the Coronado National Forest Service. Mark, we're in a wilderness, and a wilderness means different things to different people. To you, as a person, and not so much as a Forest Service ranger, what is a wilderness?
To me, a wilderness is a place that a person go to and see that it's been untrammeled by human beings. That means there aren't any roads there, man-made structures, such as housing or microwave towers, and that a person go and get away from it all and not really see anybody else for days or for weeks at a time.
Okay, as a Forest Service ranger, there is a legal description of a wilderness, such as what we're in now. What is that?
Well, when you mention legal description, just recently I had to write the legal description, but the legal description describes where the wilderness is on the ground. And since we are sitting in the Mount Wrightson Wilderness area, we have to legally describe it on the ground so that if there are any intrusions into the wilderness from outside of the wilderness, we'll know where those intrusions are and where we can tell the people that, no, you can't take a motorized or mechanical vehicle into the wilderness. As a legal, well, if you talk about where the Forest Service position is on the wilderness, we basically react to what Congress has mandated to us in the Wilderness Act, and then by the last act of 1984, which granted this as a wilderness, and what we can do and what we can't do within the wilderness.
Okay, well, what are some of those things? What are some of the things that are mandated for a wilderness area?
Okay, let's talk about the things that we can do.
Okay.
All right.
Positive here.
Positive. We can talk about hiking, camping, bird watching, because we're in Madera Canyon here, and a lot of people come to Madera to view the birds. I can't tell you how many birds there are here, but there's enough here which draws nationwide attention. People can come here for rock hounding. The area that we're in now has a wide variety of mineral content. People can come out and just rock hound a look. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in depth. When we have snow in the wintertime here, people can snowshoe, bring their skis up, snow play, whatever. those are some of the good things that you can do within a wilderness. Some of the things that we frown on and you can't do within the wilderness is we prohibit mining in wilderness. That's not to say that if you had a legal mining claim before 1984, okay, let me regroup. Before 1984, if you had a legal mining claim staked within the wilderness, then after it became a wilderness, then you still retain that legal right. But after 1984, you could no longer go within a wilderness and stake mining claims.
Okay. But if you had one, it's yours.
If you had one, it's yours. Now, if a person decides to come in and mine on his claim, his legal claim, then he would need to come to us and we would need to evaluate his plan of operations to ensure that he's not destroying the beauty that we see here now.
What kind of mining would be done here? What kind of minerals are found in the area?
They found, historically, we do have some old historical mines in the canyon, gold and silver. They have looked for a molybdenum. I think I pronounced that. We've had some oil and gas leases on the fringes of the wilderness. Now, we have taken all the oil and gas leases out of the wilderness now, so there aren't any more oil and gas leases. That's basically the minerals that you're going to find here.
Okay, Mark, when this was made a wilderness area, some people had already built homes and things here. Did it make any difference to them?
Well,
is that in the wilderness area? The big newspapers and news things that were made about the homes up here in Madera Canyon?
Well, the homes that you see in Madera Canyon now are not within the wilderness boundary, the legal boundary. They lie within the fringes. And we have no man-made structures that I know of that are within our wilderness boundary here at Mount Wrightston.
So the area is just, it doesn't make any difference then?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. I knew that there was a problem with the homes and the Forest Service earlier.
Well, the homes are being resolved, and we hope that by this year that over 20 of the homes that were slated to be taken out in 1984 will be removed this summer, and the other 20 or so will be removed in 1990. Well, that depends on how the public reacts and if Congress decides otherwise. Then.
Okay, and that's all part of the Environmental Act that was
right. That was
taken.
The original environmental impact statement was done in 1974,
okay.
And that impact statement had nothing to do with the wilderness at that time.
But it all kind of is together now.
It's together.
It was about time that we took a break. And welcome back to the Nogales Report. My guest is Mark South. He is with the U.S. Forest Service, and we're here at the Madera Canyon Wilderness area. And Mark, we've moved, and behind us there are some very beautiful areas that you would like to fill us in on what's available here in this wilderness area.
Okay, what we're seeing behind us is the main part of Madera Canyon, the canyon itself. And what I'd like to do is start from behind us. We'll talk about the highest peak, which is Mount Wrightston. It's 9,453 feet. At one time, before the age of smog, a person was able to see the San Francisco peaks cleared up by Flagstaff. But now you're lucky to see Tucson on its good days.
On a clear day.
Mount Wrightston got its name from William Wrightston, who was killed by the Indians in the latter part of the 1800s, and so the settlers named it after him. Then coming down from Mount Wrightston, we enter into what we call Josephine Saddle. Now, Josephine Saddle is the primary area where most of the trails intersect each other. And from there we can go to the top of Mount Wrightston, we can come over and hike over toward Mount Hopkins, or drop down the backside, which is the southern part of the mountain, and head toward Patagonia. And then this peak that we see just to the right side of Josephine Canyon, we call that Jack Mountain. And I have no idea where Jack Mountain got its name
Jack
from.
was, okay.
And then behind Jack Mountain, off the right, we see this, it's a bearer type peak, and that's Mount Hopkins. Let's talk about the vegetation and why maybe that hillside is so bare. That's an area where we have a lot of, right now, the aspen have lost their leaves and they haven't started their new growth yet. Okay, along with the quaking aspen, we have an oak up there, the Gamble oak, which loses its leaves in the fall. It's not like the live oak, which we have here in the canyon bottoms, which retains its leaves all year round. Also, some of the vegetation that we're seeing behind us, we're looking at primarily between the 6,000 to 7,000 foot level here. And being a north-facing slope, we're going to see a lot more of the pine, ponderosa pine, Douglas fir. We're also going to find some Apache pine and maybe some Chihuahua pine. The higher we get in the elevation on the north-facing slope, the more Douglas fir we're going to see and the more quaking aspen we're going to see.
How are forest fires in this area? There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of markings that there's been forest fires here.
There really hasn't been in the last, well, I've been here since 1975, and we really haven't had any major fires on this side of the mountain. We've had some other fires on the east side of Mount Wrightston of about the 8,000 foot level that burnt, well, roughly 20 acres or more. The Jack Mountain, which I pointed out earlier, did burn, oh, I think in 1973 or 74, part of it. And fire is a problem, is a concern, not a problem, because fire has been eliminated from the wilderness area for so long that we're afraid if we do get a good fire up here, that it will take the canyon and take everything that's here with it. But yet, we don't want to totally eliminate fire here. We want some of it to burn, because we want it to reduce the fuel hazard that we have here. The fuel hazard, the fuels have increased so over the years that we need to really reduce them.
What do you mean by fuel hazards?
Well,
the little grass
the
that's
little
around
grass,
and...
the dead branches, the fallen trees, it's accumulated over the years. And really, the wilderness needs fire. The environment needs fire to generate itself.
But it needs fires that are overseen by the Forest Service, not by the people
That's
in the wilderness.
That's correct. And hopefully this summer, we do get enough moisture up here. We're going to try to allow some of the fires to burn a little longer after we receive enough moisture. But we'll monitor them. We can either confine them, contain them, or control them. Confining would be we're there and just watching them go between ridges or canyons. Containing is where we would actually go in and maybe herd the fire or construct some fire line around it. And then control is we would actually go in there and pounce on it with everything we have and put the fire out.
So you're looking at a confined fire.
Confined fire. We're going to try that this summer to see how it works. You know, this is our first wilderness on the district, and so we're still new at managing a wilderness area.
There's not any other wilderness areas within Santa Cruz County then?
Well, there is. As of 1984, our district acquired two, Mount Wrightston and the Pajarito Wilderness, which is Sycamore Canyon, which is located west of Nogales. Even though before the wilderness this was considered a rare II area, which was, you know, we still were limited to what we could do here, we still pounced on every fire. I mean, we just literally got on them, and we're going to try to change that this year. So I'm hoping that the public will, you know, be sympathetic to us or allow us to manage the wilderness and allow some of the fires to do what they need to do.
Okay, speaking of the public and in speaking fires, we can kind of turn this around to the way that the public should take care of the wilderness areas too. You said that there are wilderness ethics and wilderness skills that are all involved in the way that the public handles this area that you're giving them.
We're in a neat area. The wilderness that we're in is neat because you don't need a whole lot of skill to venture into our wilderness. The trails are right at the end of the parking lot. There's water accessible. You can carry water with you. Everything's downhill or uphill, so if you get lost, just go downhill. I do caution that in the summer months, though, we encourage visitors when they do come that they pack in enough water to maintain them during the day. Even though we do have some springs in the mountain that produce water, we don't encourage drinking from them, from the fact is that we don't maintain them from a health standpoint. The visitor's on his own. And basically, that's what it is. A visitor's on his own when he enters the wilderness. He has to assume the risk of whatever happens to him when he enters the wilderness, because we, when I mean we, the Forest Service, is not there always on the spot to help the visitor, you know, enjoy themselves.
Okay, in other areas of that the Forest Service had that maybe are not a maintained wilderness area that quite often the public wanders in, what are some of the maybe rules of thumb that you have for them going into areas?
Well, one main rule of thumb is when you visit an area, what you take in, you take out. We call it a pack it in, pack it out philosophy. Everything that you take in, we hope that you bring out. We don't encourage burying of the trash, because once you bury the trash, the animals are going to come along and dig it up. I've come across many a campsite that the people had nicely buried their trash only to be dug up and strewn all over the place from the animals. Another thing we like to see the visitor do is when he visits and uses, makes a campfire, and campfires are part of the wilderness and we don't discourage that. But when he creates a campfire ring out of rocks, we hope that he would take the campfire rings and remove them from the site and distribute the ashes all over the place. So
that's quite a change from how it used to be. It used to be you build a 4-foot wall around your campfire and just kind of leave everything in there.
That's right. Well, we're trying to get away from that now because we're in a habit now of going back and busting up all the fire rings. It'd be all right if the visitors would use the same fire ring. They don't want to use the same fire ring. They want to create their own monument. And that's what it turns out to be, is like a monument. So if the visitor would just clear an area, dig a little trench, and then put his stones in to, you know, for his pots or whatever, and then when he's done, get rid of it, then bury everything, it'll look a whole lot better later.
Mark, we ought to take another break. The Nogales Report, my guest is Mark South, and we're in the Madera Canyon Wilderness area. Mark, this is absolutely gorgeous, and we're in our last segment, and we're moving around to catch some more of the beautiful scenery. Preservation of this area is a great concern to the Forest Service. Maybe you'd like to get a little bit into that.
We try our hardest to preserve what we have here for everybody. We don't preserve it just for the Forest Service. We preserve it for you and for your children and your grandchildren. And I think that the public needs to realize then that with the cutbacks that we've seen here in the past from the administration that's over us now and in the past, that they need to take a little bit bigger role in helping us preserve it. Because we're only limited to, there's only like 14 or 15 of us now in the district. That's including the secretaries, and we're responsible for over 350,000 acres. Now, if you try to divide that up on how many acres each one of us would manage, it's unbelievable. But if the public would take better care of their land, because it's their land, it's not the Forest Service or the government, it's their land. We're just here as managers. That could help us all. Number one, it could help by saving money. Two, it gives the public a sense of pride in, hey, I took care of that. And number three, they're preserving it not just for today, but for tomorrow. Because tomorrow is what we're really seeking, is preserving tomorrow. You know, the philosophy is now live for today, you know, and let's not worry about tomorrow, but hey, we have to worry about tomorrow. I mean, our first shots were looking out over Tucson, and we were able to see Tucson today. That's because the smog wasn't there. So I encourage every visitor when they come, hey, take out some garbage with you. If you see somebody vandalizing something, go up and tell them. It says, hey, that's part of mine. I own part of that. Whether it be a picnic table or a tree, it's everybody's responsibility to help out each other. And so we talk about trails. You and I talked about trails coming up this morning. If a person or groups of people would like to help us maintain trails, well, you come and see me, and we have over 60 miles of trail that I can put you to work on.
Well, you already have a group that you've been working with that's maintaining a trail for you.
Right. We have a group out of Green Valley, the Green Valley Hiking Club. And all these people are retired people, and they are maintaining our nature trail. And what they've done is they've retread the trail. I mean, by retreading is making the trail, the surface, easier to walk on. They're now installing signs on the vegetation or near the vegetation, which names the vegetation. And just in fact, yesterday I worked with them. I should say it was a joint effort of preventing a trail from sliding off down the side of the hill. So we have avenues that people can utilize their skills in. If they want to do something for us, come and see us, and we'll put them to work.
Besides maintaining trails and maintaining areas which are, you know, like I said before, magnificent like this, there are other services that the Forest Service provides for the public. Woodsy Owl and Smokey the Bear, you know, are all part of that. What are some of the other things that the Forest Service does?
We'd like to, well, we do go into schools. I personally go into schools, mainly in Santa Cruz County. We'd like to start with the younger groups and telling them how they can help us and what they should be doing in the forest by protecting it. I like to do the Woodsy Owl thing, you know, take in a bag of litter and throw it all over the ground and says, well, this is what I picked up in the forest. And we try to impress upon them that they're the ones who are going to be responsible for helping us.
We were speaking earlier in talking about litter a little bit about the fact that it's the idea of not to litter and to keep your country clean and keep America beautiful has regressed a little bit. It's not quite as strong. People don't feel as strongly about it. I
feel it has regressed. In the late 60s, early 70s, we had that movement, you know, environmental movement to, you know, protect everything. But I actually think, and the rest of us think, that from the amount of vandalism and garbage and problems that we've had, it's actually regressed. And I think that we need to do a better job of educating the public. And that needs to start from the schools on up to grown-ups.
And the kids are a lot of time the ones that tell their parents not to litter.
If the kids can make the parents feel guilty, I think then we're hitting home.
Can you do some, we were speaking about burns and prescribed burns. Annually you have a kind of a large one that's coming up this summer too.
Right, in fact we're planning on 2 prescribed burns this summer. One will be actually the west side of this the wilderness area. It won't be within the wilderness, it'll be outside the wilderness area on the mouth of Montosa Canyon, just right up from a model. And that's going to be, we're burning it again. We burnt that 3 years ago. And so we're going back and doing a reburn. It's a maintenance burn to keep up what we started years ago and to rejuvenate everything. And I understand that you're going to be part of our team to be out there with us. It should be.
We're going to come watch and see exactly how this is done.
It will be an interesting time, and then again, we'll need to re-educate the public to what we're doing so they don't become concerned and upset over what we're doing.
Your offices that are located in Nogales, the Coronado National Forest offices, do they have maps? Can the public come in and ask you for maps of these wilderness areas and the trail areas and for information?
We have maps of the district. We don't have the wilderness boundaries designated on the maps yet. They are to come out this fall, I believe. And on the maps that we sell, that does show all the trails and the roads. My suggestion would be to purchase a hiking map from one of the stores in Tucson, which is a much better map.
50 trails in Arizona.
50,
and that kind of, yeah.
Right. For $1.50 or $2, it's well worth it to purchase that type of map.
Okay, can you give me an idea, we're heading on to where we're running out of time, where you're located, and maybe a phone number where if people would like to...
Joining us now is Mark South with the Coronado National Forest. Mark, what is the situation like for campers right now?
Right now our campground is full in Bog Springs Campground, and there are other places on the forest that are available at Pena Blanca Lake. It's not full yet.
How much does this limitation actually help the environment out here?
Well, it limits the people coming in so that they're not trampling the sides of the stream, of Madera Stream. It provides a quality experience for the people coming up here so that there aren't a whole lot of people running around creating a problem.
Is there an easy answer to make sure that everybody can enjoy the parks and the recreation areas?
Well, for those that are coming out to the National Forest, they need to get there early to provide a spot for them and or go to other places that aren't developed like Madera Canyon or Pena Blanca Lake.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. And if you take a